Hello everyone, welcome to the very first episode of SHMUP Master. This is actually a series I've been wanting to do for a very long time, and just haven't been able to. And very happy to say though that I'm finally able to do it now thanks to the proper equipment and of course my determination. Now in case you aren't familiar with what a SHMUP is, it is an abbreviation of shoot 'em up, or in other words a side-scrolling or vertical scrolling game involving spaceships or aircraft, where you generally blow everything up that is in sight. Now to get started here, I want to run down a few of my objectives of what I'd like to achieve with these videos. Number one is, my main objective is to capture a no-death run of a game, a shoot-'em-up game specifically, obviously. Number two, I'm going to attempt to only use the original hardware whenever possible to capture these runs, no emulators. Although I may make an exception for the Retron 5 when it releases, depending on how that works out. Number three, I use an upscaler to get HD quality video from these original consoles. 1080p, 30 frames per second for the best picture quality you can possibly get for a retro console. Number four, I'd like to do a step-by-step commentary as I play through the game, explaining basically how I accomplished the run, which I'm going to do. I'll also release a video, the original video in its unaltered state for people who don't want to listen to commentary and all that. And number five, excuse me, I'd like to write an accompanying article to the pieces that I'm going to do. Where I'm going to release that and when, I don't know. It'll come after the video, but I would like to do articles along with these videos. And six is the most important one. No cheating. I'm not using save states. I'm not using emulators. No video manipulation of any kind. This is all 100% real in one take from start to finish without dying. And that's going to be SHMUP Master. So now with all the disclaimers out of the way, let's get started. Whip Rush 2222 AD, The Invasions of the Voltigians, is a Sega Genesis Mega Drive game released in 1990 by Renovation Products in North America and Europe, and by Telnet Japan in, of course, Japan. As of the time of this recording, it has not seen a re-release on any other platform, which is sad. Not even Nintendo's Virtual Console, of all places. You would think it would have at least made it there, but for some reason, it has not been released. However, and this could be the reason why, Sunsoft recently purchased all of Telnet Japan's software library, so perhaps we will see a re-release at some point in the near future. I'm assuming the rights for these games by Telnet were just hung up in legal turmoil. So now that it's sorted out and Sunsoft owns them, perhaps maybe this game will reach a wider audience. That would be pretty cool. So Whip Rush is what I would describe, pretty above average side-scrolling shooter. I had a lot of fun with it, despite all my insane practicing for this run. I never really got bored of it. I was always happy to go back and just fire away. I remember purchasing this game for $20 back in 1991 with my brother, and the two of us put a lot of playtime into this game when we were kids, and we were just never able to pass stage 4 for some reason. I mean, there were other games like Thunder Force 3, Darius Twin, a couple other shooters, Hyperzone, where we were able to actually finish the games and beat them, but Whip Rush was one that just beat us continually, And, the reason is it's a brutally difficult game. In fact, it's one of the hardest shooters I've ever played. Great one to start my series with, I know. So, that of course made this run even all the more difficult to achieve. But moving on to the box art, it's really some beautifully drawn, epic-looking stuff. I always remembered the box art being really cool, and as you can see, it looks really nice. And it basically sums up what the game is all about, which is one-man mission to save the Earth from the invasion of the Voltigians. The nasty aliens coming to kick your ass, So, with that being said, let's not let those Voltigians kick our ass. Let's fire up Whip Rush and get going here. Alright, and here we go. Whip Rush. And 2222 AD. Of course, humanity is in search of new worlds to colonize because of our overpopulation and our horrible things we do to our planet. And, you know, we have the alien threat. This is almost kind of like Ender's Game in some ways. And, all told in glorious 16-bit dialogue, which actually isn't very bad for its time. Compared to games like Zero Wing, this is pretty much Shakespeare. As you can see, there's no, I don't think there's any grammatical errors in this game that I've really seen, which is pretty remarkable, actually. But yeah, there you go, the mothership attacking Earth. Kaboom! I had to sit through this intro about 50 times to get this video, just so you know. And here we go. Of course, I gotta play it on hard because I'm not a pansy. Starting. Off we go. The little spaceship that looks like a chicken, as some have said. Looks kind of cute. Stage 1, drive out the intruders. We are on Earth and in the clouds, and here we go. You can see I just upped my speed to full blast, and I did that to make it more interesting. I don't keep it that fast the entire game, but there's certain parts that make it make the game more interesting to watch, and actually some parts will make it easier too. But at the beginning here, you can see when I zoom around, it makes it easier to get to these guys, so I can wipe them out. And these little dudes flying around, I believe, are called Jabbas. This is what it says in the manual. The Jabbas are pretty much useless little things. And then we have this guy called the Sandwich Man. That's literally his name in the manual, is the Sandwich Man. And, you know, the mini-boss. Up, down, and he dies pretty quickly when you have double laser. You can see from the weapons there's 4 different weapons. You have this thing called the Claw here, which is kind of like a drone that you can throw around. You'll see me throwing it around everywhere all the time to hit enemies with. Laser is the most powerful weapon. M stands for missile, which seeks the enemies, but it's weak. And then there's F for fire, and you'll see right here. See the M for missile. F moves when you move, so that comes in handy later on, but not particularly here. I use laser through most of the game because it just destroys everything so insanely fast. You can see all these little guys here I'm destroying with my my claw drones, and you can see I bopped one over there. Those things are called bucus or buckus, floating mines that approach you. It says in the instruction manual, buckus, B-U-C-C-U-S. I have no idea what that means, but that's what they're called. Yeah, I don't know what those things are either. Those big flying dildos there. Yep, and we have these guys here, which are the domals they're called. Multi-directional guns and shoot laser beams. Yeah, as you can see they do that. Got my last laser upgrade there, so now I'm fully equipped. I'm completely upgraded. I cannot upgrade anymore. It takes a total of 4 upgrades to get completely upgraded with any weapon. You can see me dancing to the music there. This is what you do when you play the level 50, 60, 100 times. I don't know how many times I played it, but anyway, here's the boss. Vasquez is his name, according to the instruction manual, and he dies incredibly fast when you have completely decked out lasers. There's just no contest there. And that was easy. If only it was that easy. Stage 1 is cleared. Stage 2, here we go. On stage 2 we have a water, kind of a mangrove type environment here. You can see these guys up here. I can destroy them with my drones. And this is the enemy base that they put on Earth, the alien base that you're infiltrating here. And these guys with little boomerangs, which Yeah. They're boomerangs. Pretty easy to avoid. These little turret guns, and then we have these, more of these little vibrantes they're called. And here we go, down into the water, under the mangrove roots. And this is always the fun part here. I love to make the ship dance at this part. It's just something I enjoyed because this part's kind of slow, and I've played it so many times. Let's see, we have a couple of these guys that have these big lightsaber-looking beams that come out at you. They die pretty quickly. Those guys shoot missiles, but I don't give them a chance to. And pa-pa-pa. Pop them out. And we come up out of the water. And there's another upgrade, which I don't need, so I just get the claw again, the claw drones. And this part, we're going deeper into the base. Not sure why we had to go underwater. It didn't seem to be any type of barrier blocking, but you know how these things go. Yeah, a bunch of turrets. First two levels of this game aren't too terribly difficult, but you know, they are still difficult, but compared to the rest of the game, they're cake, honestly. The rest of this game is a nightmare compared to these first two boards. Those are the last two enemies. We'll come up to the boss, making my ship dance again. And here we go, the defender, what's this guy called? The Vasquez, I believe. So you go in and out, in and out. Oh, excuse me, he's called the Act Fender, is what this guy is called. And he is guarding the entrance to the enemy base. And here we are. Now we enter the base. Underground, of course. Got those little guys. Yeah, we got all kinds of stuff going on here. This is where I switch weapons to the missiles. And then I make a lame brain thing up here. Lame brain choice, and I actually get hit in a spot that I never get hit at, but I got hit. Was I going to start over? No, I wasn't going to start over. I didn't die, so screw it. We continued on to the walker dudes. This part's actually quite difficult. Get my laser upgrade back. You can see by this part right here particularly. Gotta wait till the last possible second, move up. Yeah, I'm almost back to full strength. And we got these things called the Master Blasters, apparently. According to the manual, the Master Blasters. So original. We got these spider dudes. I like that little trick where I just stand there and they die. Boom, boom. Two more of those. Couple more of these walkers on the floor. Yeah, that part took me a long time before I could master that. One more walker. Alright, and the rest of this is getting through a very narrow corridor here with moving obstacles. This part is just ridiculous. I had to practice this. God, I've lost track of how many times, and even this time I get hit on my way up. I think on the next one here. Yeah, this one here I get hit. I was like, whoops, oh well, continue on. I didn't die. Just absolutely insane. how difficult that part was. This boss is not too difficult, actually. Pretty straightforward. That thing pops out, you hit him. This is the Defender Core, as they call it, of the base. Actually kind of making sense, this whole story. And that comes out, going to hit him, and he's toast. Like I said, not a real difficult boss. I would say that actually the second boss is probably harder than him. Alright, stage 3 is cleared. We move on to stage 4. Stage 4 is a nightmare. It is the hardest level in the game, it is the longest level in the game, and it contains a sequence which is probably the most difficult of any game I've ever played. This isn't it. This is the asteroid belt. This part's not too bad, although I do get hit, unfortunately. And of course, on many of the times I recorded, I didn't get hit here, but of course on this time I did, but it's okay. I managed to pull it off and get through. But yeah, this part gets really close a couple times. Get my laser upgrade back, get my second laser upgrade. Yeah, they actually hide those upgrades in the asteroids. It took me a while to figure out where they were, but once you do. Here's the other mini-boss. I believe there's only 2 mini-bosses in the game. This is one of them. He's cake. If you have the laser upgrades, you just destroy him. More laser upgrades, I'm fully maxed out again. We got those guys, which fire a big laser thing, which I don't give them a chance to fire it, but... And this part, nice little trick I have here, I can move my drones and take out those little crabby looking guys. My wife called them the crabs because she watched me play this game 100 times and she came up with names for a lot of these guys, and those were the crabs. She called them. It do kind of look like little crabs crawling around. And another one of those guys. Nope, didn't get the fire. Now this is where I lower my speed, and this part right here is one of the hardest sequences I've ever played in any game. You have to maneuver your way through here without hitting the walls and without getting shot. Now, on the harder difficulty, these guys fire more often than they do on easy and normal. So I'm not giving them a chance to fire, but you'll see later on a little bit further up here. This part right here, it's so hard. I managed to get through that, dodge that, but I do get hit up here at some point. I believe it's the next guy. Yeah, right here. No? Okay, maybe not. But I do get hit. Yeah, here it is, right here. But actually, the funny thing is when you lose your weapon here, it actually gets easier. The guys don't fire as much. It's interesting. The game adjusts for how you're playing, which is kind of interesting. And this is where I start using the fireball weapon, which aims with the direction you move, so it actually is very useful for those guys and for this boss. This boss, yeah, you can see how happy I am. This boss is also the hardest boss in the game. They call him Vanguard for good reason. He's an asshole, and I hate him, and I spent countless nights trying to master him. And you can see how close that was. He has 4 parts that randomly come off, basically, and I got lucky on this run, and the top one came off, which leaves more of him exposed. And if the bottom pieces come off first, you're basically screwed. So there's the other one that came off, and luckily he's exposed. Oh, I hit him. Now he'll go back together, and then he will completely break apart and expose his inner self. See, boom, here he goes, and kapow, toast. Yeah, that was actually probably the quickest I've ever beaten him. I got lucky, like I said. That part is just insanely difficult. And level 5, stage 5, push back the alien fleet. Now we got to attack the fleet head on. Stage 4 is the last stage that's mentioned in the instruction manual. From here on out, nothing has a name, and you can see I got hit right there. It's another spot I usually never got hit at, but I said screw it, and I kept on going. But yeah, we're pursuing the alien fleet now, the mothership right here. This level is pretty tough, but not as tough as the last one. Not by a long shot. Although right here, I really, without my upgrades, I really got lucky here. I kind of winged it and just was like, okay, let's go, run. And I ran through it and I got through it, dodging bullets. I don't know how I did it. It's a lot easier when you have the upgrades, the laser upgrades. There's a couple other guys, about 3 or 4 of the guys on YouTube that have also done this game without dying, but they seem to use different weapon sets than I do. It's kind of interesting, the differences that we all used in order to beat this game. There's another upgrade. Get the laser and I then promptly lose it. And I almost die here like 5 times. How I survived, I do not know. I just, man, oh man, oh man. I promptly get hit again. And wait for the fire. Yep, fire is the only way to go with this part. You can hit every guy in every direction. There's just guys everywhere. And like I said, it's really a nightmare. And as you get through all those little turrets, bam, that's it. The boss is next. And I'm dancing the jig, man, that I got through that part without dying. Would have been nice if I could have done it without getting hit, but you know how it goes. These things are just crazy. Alright, now this guy, no idea what his name is. I'm assuming he's like the head alien guy in charge of the fleet. That pops out, he shoots a laser. Can't touch his arms, obviously you'll die. Yeah, but I like doing this fancy little thing here where I move up to the side and then move back down again. It was more difficult, but it made for a better show, and also was easier to hit him that way. Now, after that, I move over to the side guns and take those out. And move over to the other side gun. Take that one out. And next I go for his right arm. You can actually destroy his arm. There's a lot of different ways you can approach this guy. This is just the way I chose to do it. Like I said, the other guys that I watched the runs for did it a little differently, but after that, one more shot to the gut there and he's done. He looks kind of like Arnold Schwarzenegger from Batman and Robin, actually. Mr. Freeze, like the Mr. Freeze helmet there. Who knows, man? Who knows? And now we go into the mothership itself. So we just took out the Guardian of the mothership. Stage 5 cleared. Alright, now stage 6, it's funny because from stage 4 is the epitome of the difficulty of this game. You get to 5, it's a little easier. You get to 6, and it's a little easier yet. Still hard, but still pretty not as bad as 4. So it's interesting the way they did this game. The difficulty ramps up to the center of the game, and then it ramps back down again. So, while granted this level is difficult, I don't think it's as difficult as stage 4, or even the one I just played. But that's just me. You can see I just got 2 more upgrades. I'm fully maxed out on my fire upgrade. And we got this guy here. It took me a while to figure out the pattern for this guy and what to do. And I realized you basically have to have upgrades there, or those little blue things will attach to the wall and fire at you. Alright, here comes the acrobatic part of this level. Gotta zoom through those, and you gotta fly through these little circle things, and without getting hit, obviously. And it gets more and more tricky, as you can see. In this part, we got a bunch more of these collapsing crusher things. I go up, I go and get 2 more of those that I didn't need, but I figured, what the hell, might as well show off. I gotta make it through more of these circle things. Man, I did die here a lot though when I was practicing. Yeah, this one moves with you. There's another weapon. I'll just get fireball again. Now this part is hard. These guys just fire like crazy, and when you don't have a weapon, they don't fire, but when you're maxed out, they shoot at you, and as you can see, I got hit. I've actually never beaten that part without getting hit. It's just really, really hard. And now we have the boss, which I'm assuming is like the reactor core of the mothership or something. Which, once again, this all kind of makes sense. And this guy, basically, it's all about following everything and keeping your eyes open for where these little lasers are going. Really not that hard once you figure out the pattern. This is one of the easier bosses, actually, surprisingly. What was that? That's it, mothership, goodbye. But it's not the end. We got one more stage. Yep, we eliminated the threat. Now it's time to take the fight to the home planet with my little chicken ship. And stage 7, so you gotta terminate the alien leader. Now, this is probably the easiest board, honestly. It's not difficult at all, which was really surprising. I figured this game would go out with a bang and I'd have a ridiculous hard level to play, but no, not really. As you can see, we're going into the mouth of the beast here. A couple of eyeballs, a la Light Force, or Abadox. After those, we have some jellyfish, kind of Metroid style. I can just go in front of those. I realized, don't even bother fighting them. I got a few jellyfish you do have to fight. On hard, there's actually a lot more of them than there is on normal. Got these little leeches, worm thingies here, tapeworms. And a couple little balls here, which are a final assault. And that's it. That's the last level, which, like I said, surprisingly, is not that hard. Quite frankly, the easiest level in the game, I would say. And here we go, head boss dude. This guy, mixed emotions about him. He's kind of difficult, but kind of not. Really, you see how I got my little claw drone stuck in there? If you can do that, he's easy. If you miss, he becomes quite difficult because he starts moving around. But I got lucky, and on this run anyway, and I got those in there where I actually was able to hit him. And look at that, I killed him really fast. You're not supposed to kill him that fast. But that nice little trick there enabled me to do so. And that's it. That is Whip Rush. All 7 boards. All stages cleared. I hope that I made this game look easy, when in fact it is not. I'm sure people that have played it can attest to that. But there are crazy people like me and the other 4 guys out there that decide to do no death runs. Yeah, and here's the story, which I've never been able to read it completely because it goes by so fast. But suffice it to say that it's kind of sad. They needed nourishment and they came to get it from the earth. Yeah, whoa, what happened there? I couldn't even read it. But yes, here we have a nice cool little cinematic here at the end. Little 16-bit cinematic with your guy, I'm assuming, outrunning the fireball of death from you destroying the head boss. And yeah, Whip Rush is a very solid little shooter from the Sega Genesis / Sega Mega Drive from 1990. I enjoyed playing it very much. Honestly, I never really got bored of it. I found it quite fun to master. I mean, granted, it was frustrating at times, but I was really, it was a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to doing my next one, actually. And yep, you're escaping. Of course, we gotta have the typical, in every game, fly out of the planet and have it explode, because that's what happened in these old games. keep going with the credits. Going, going, and there we go. There's the planet. Cracking at the core. Kapow! And of course we made it. On our little chicken ship. And that is Whip Rush, folks. Hope you enjoyed it.